The Piglins of Minecraft have long sat within their inferno. They once ruled with netherite, but now only scrounge for gold. They used to live, but now only survive, feasting for a time, but now starving, robbed by unlaughing fate and controlled ambition. Their plans were foiled, and now they suffer. But who is to blame? Who is to blame not just for their miserable state, but also for their wretched existence as a whole? What are Minecraft's piglins? Or rather, who? The nether of Minecraft is full of lava-walking striders, cubes of magma and floating inferni made of metallic fire. But there is one type of creature that stands out amongst the rest. Piglins. Piglins can't swim in lava and will burn if they try. They live in crumbling, decrepit bastions and are unlike anything else in their world. They seem unnatural in their habitats, incapable of surviving in such a harsh climate as the one in which they live, only feeding off of the hoglins they can manage to kill on their dangerous hunting trips. It's almost as if they were never meant to be there in the first place and are only stuck in the nether by circumstance, not choice. Well, my name is Illager. I will be your host for today, so please do find yourself a snack, get cozy in bed, and find your one working earbud as we discover some secrets of Minecraft's piglins. Before that though, a quick thanks to everyone who saw my other video. Your views and engagements mean a lot to me and are very motivating. But now let's get right into the lore, shall we? Piglins were added back in 1.16, the Nether update, about 5 years ago. They've remained relatively unchanged since their addition, but that does not mean they are without lore, especially now that Minecraft Legends has been added to our repertoire of usable media. Piglins are these pig-like humanoid creatures from within the Nether who start as the antagonists within Minecraft Legends, and even got their own book, Return of the Piglins, by Matt Forbeck. They're also the villains within the Minecraft movie, but that film is not canon, so I'm going to refrain personally from citing it. Piglins have a couple notable characteristics. Beyond looking weird and fleeing from warped fungus and soul flames, they have a deep love of gold, and seem to be the epitome of greed within the Minecraft universe, attacking anyone who gets near them instantly unless their would-be victim is wearing gold armor, or distracts the piglins with a dropped gold ingot, which the piglins will take in exchange for some bartered goods. But why do they love gold so much? The fear of soul fire is understandable, and the warped fungus is shown in Legends to be quite infectious, but why gold? What's so special about this fairly useless and brittle metal to them? As I alluded to in the introduction, they seem unnatural, like they don't belong in the Nether. Most ethereal mobs are able to survive in lava and are resistant to the harsh terrain, but not piglins. While magma cubes can jump around the terraces of their basalt homes and striders can walk on lava, the piglins can do neither, instead barely being able to survive even within their own homes, the Bastion remnants. Unable to thrive within their climate, it's easy to come to one conclusion, and it involves gold's unique properties found nowhere else. Gold has healing properties. The health potions we players can brew use glistering melons made with gold nuggets, and golden apples are among the best food sources in the game, even being able to revive villagers who have been zombified. But gold is also highly enchantable and famous for it. Although it is very weak and doesn't do much for practical use, golden armor and tools are exceptionally good when enchanted, often getting rarer or higher level enchantments compared to, say, iron or diamond. Why would the piglins seek gold though? They don't use it for enchanting for the most part, though a few stray piglins do have enchanted weapons just as any other mob might. Well, before they sought gold, they sought netherite, a durable metal that could make near-perfect tools and armor. And this isn't just headcanon, this has been confirmed. When piglins were first introduced, Mojang published an article stating they were the ones who mined all the netherite, and Minecraft Dungeons even shows us gigantic drills that they likely used, leaving only the debris and scraps that we see today behind. But again, why would they switch to gold after finishing the netherite? It's easy to see why the Piglins would want netherite. It's an incredibly useful substance, but there's only one reason to look for gold, and it's for that same reason of enchanting that I mentioned before. Why did they do it? Well, as said in my last video, I believe the undead were one of the threats to these so-called heroes, and the heroes came to the Nether hoping to both keep away from the undead of the overworld, but also to mine for gold, with hopes of finding a cure to undeath with the gold's aforementioned healing properties. These people came to the Nether far before the events of Minecraft Legends and built these structures fairly early on. We can assume bastions existed pre-Legends, since the Piglins would have needed somewhere to live before even planning their invasions, and the fact that Piglins have blaze rods in their arsenal shows Nether fortresses also existed around the same time. Now we come to the neat part of the story, and this is where the Piglins show up. I want you to bear with me when I say this, but I believe the Piglins aren't just unnatural to the Nether, but simply aren't part of nature at all. The Nether is a place of lava and basalt, both being things that accompany radioactivity. You see where this is going, I hope, and while it may seem absurd, I promise I have some evidence to support this idea. The Piglins are mutated heroes. Let's jump into the real world for a moment. Did you know that lava is very often filled with radioactive substances? It's one of the more dangerous parts of volcano explosions, especially once the lava is no longer an active threat. It leaves uranium, thorium, and a particular isotope of potassium, potassium-40, all of which are fairly radioactive. That last one is also actually what makes bananas slightly radioactive too, for anyone who cares. These elements are most often found within igneous rocks, and lava has a nasty habit of creating those sorts of stones. They don't have enough radioactivity to melt your face off after a few minutes Chernobyl style, but prolonged exposure can be dangerous, and they will also have some level of effect on Geiger counters too. I'm not making this up. In 1980, the United States saw Mount St. Helens erupt, leaving radioactive materials all over the site, which had to be monitored closely by the government. These particles were, admittedly, never traced to acute illness, but they still were there, and in the fantastically fictional world of Minecraft, it makes total sense to see mutations arise in place of death. Cases like these are all over. In 1985, Colombia also saw a similar explosion, leaving, again, lots of radioactive particles, though none of them were, again, outright enough to kill. All of these were events that changed their areas and made them fairly radioactive, but imagine this on a massive scale. The Deccan traps were explosions that scientists estimate happened some 66 million years ago, and they fit perfectly here. Less of an eruption, they were a million-year-long period of basalt-filled belches around central India that are eerily similar to the basalt delta biomes in Minecraft. The Nether is a place that is described to be of perpetual agony, and while this could fit into the themes of it's hell, what if it's mere radioactivity-induced sickness? Radiation poisoning is really a perfect candidate for how the books will often describe the Nether's effects on mobs, and it all comes to fit together really quite well. Nether's fungus is probably one of the more unique things in Minecraft. Giant fungal plants aren't particularly uncommon in video games, but they still manage to feel alien in Minecraft without falling into being cliché, which is good. Just like the Piglins, they didn't exist for a long time, only being added later in 1.16, but just like Piglins, that does not make them lawless. And they are quite interesting to look at as evidence because, maybe you've noticed, but fungus doesn't normally get that large. Most Minecraft fungus is normally sized, but these warped and crimson stalks are absolutely massive. There's only one thing that comes to mind: radiation. Again, the main culprit, radiation can actually do a lot when it comes to aiding fungal beings, and in real life there are some special kinds of mushrooms that can actually feed off of radiation. These so-called radiotrophic fungi are supposedly capable of radiosynthesis, allowing them to take the radiation and make it into food the same way most plants do light. These radiotrophic beings are somewhat hypothetical rather than real, but Chernobyl does famously have fungi that spread best in the most radioactive parts, seemingly going for the Veta and Gamma type rays that exist in the graphite-filled soil in a process that's called radiotropism. Put simply, it means that the fungal beings might grow better in radioactive environments, and the fact that the Nether has such large fungi definitely then attests to it being radioactive. Not just the warped and crimson forests though, because just as I implied earlier, the basalt deltas are also very clear evidence of radiation, down even to their sound effects. At this point, I think it's enough to see why the piglins evolved from heroes. The heroes came with pigs, an easy source of food in the Nether, and after eating them in those conditions would become these horrible figures, the piglins. Ironically, because they sought gold to heal themselves. But there is still, interestingly, one place the piglins will never go. They avoid sulfire and warped fungus, but still consider those places that are filled with such substances habitable, at least enough to build bastions. Even so, there is one place that is off of their tables, and that place is the basalt deltas. Why would the piglins refuse to build their bases here of all places? The deltas are treacherous, yes, but I don't think that's the full problem. I think there's more to be found, specifically within the echoes of these crevice-filled lands. These places are where the eruptions first occurred, there's no doubt. The basalt, alongside lack of mobs other than hyper-evolved sentient magma, shows us that this is the radioactive zenith. These places are whence the eruption initially came, changing the pre-Nether into the hell we know now, being so radioactive that not even the piglins would try to live there. Listen to the sound effects and you can hear that there are still rumblings and tectonic shifts. I'm not even sharing the unused sounds, which are quite a bit worse. This disaster could happen again any time. The click sounds are even more of a giveaway. Even as radioactive as the Nether wastes likely are, they don't have literal Geiger counter clicks going on in the ambient tracks. Clearly there's something going on, and something that has already occurred too. We can only be glad we weren't there when it did happen, and pray we aren't there when it happens next, because I promise you, it will happen again eventually. Okay, time to calm down. We've talked about volcano eruptions and apocalypses, and maybe it's hard to tell if this is still about piglins, but the story we have is simple if we put it together, yet it needs some explaining. Since the explanation is done now, though, we get to the fun dessert. Picture yourself as a hero trying to get gold for its healing properties and then going to this alien dimension, bringing pigs for food and test subjects, only to eventually, after years, find yourself mutating slowly, or your children or theirs becoming what they ate. It's dreadfully tragic, but sometimes that's how history is. I don't really know how to end videos very well, but thanks for watching, and of course, I'd like to give thanks to everyone else who's been giving me support, and thanks to everyone who's commented or liked my posts or other video, I do appreciate that. This theory was somewhat of a history and science-filled one, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I've done science content before on Planet Minecraft, and it always performed fairly well, so I hope you enjoyed this. Thanks for watching. If you disagree with this theory, I'd be happy to discuss that. This channel is not for me to use to force theories onto you, but rather I hope to invite you to think on your own and make your own stuff up, really in the same way I have. But on that note, keep on thinking, keep on theorizing, and always remember to keep on loring. I'll see you next time. Bye.